All right, welcome to our October meeting. We're going to talk about Photoshop Elements 12, and if time permits, and if I'm brave enough, a little bit of Premiere Elements 12 as well. It's not my strong suit, that's why. But how many of you are not professional photographers? Great. How many of you don't make your living doing Photoshop every day? Then more than likely, you're a candidate for Elements. That's why Adobe has two product lines. They have Creative Cloud, which is for designers, photographers, videographers, web developers, people that make their living doing those things. Then they have a consumer line of products, in this case for photography and videography, called Photoshop Elements and Premiere Elements. In more cases than not, even people that are traditionally using Photoshop could probably be okay with just Elements. But for some reason, it's just like, hobbyist photographers buy the most expensive cameras. They also want to buy the most expensive software. It just makes them feel better. But in this case, like I said, for most people out there, Elements would be all they needed. Now, with that said, Elements is not in the Creative Cloud. No plans to put it in Creative Cloud. No plans to ever make it a part of a subscription service. It is basically a standalone purchase application just like it always was. This new version, usually there's a new version about once a year of Elements. So this is Elements 12, which just started shipping, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. Maybe longer, I can't remember, but it is available now. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, great, meeting topic, fantastic, because I was running dry on meeting topics. Elements is one of those products that is designed for people that don't do this every day. And what that means is there are guided activities to walk you through step by step how to do something. And then there's also expert mode, which says, I do that thing all the time, I don't need you guiding me. So I'll just go into expert mode and do it. So I like to look at expert mode would be what I would more than likely use, not because I'm calling myself an expert, because I'm saying that I use those features all the time in the regular Photoshop, so I don't need the guide to show me how to use them each time. So if you're used to traditional Photoshop interface, then you're probably going to spend your time in expert mode more than likely. If you're not used to Photoshop at all and you don't do this on a regular basis, then chances are you're going to use the guided mode most of the time. And the great thing is you can switch back and forth on the same picture without having to close down, reboot, or do anything weird like that. Now the price point, I was just looking at Amazon because Amazon usually discounts these. The price point for Elements 12 is $89, so $90 basically, $89.99. To get both Elements, Photoshop Elements and Premiere Elements is $128. So if you're going to spend $99 or $90, and you may ever edit a video, then I would say get them both. They're both in one package. If not, just stick to the $90 just for Elements. And that's it. $90, Elements, you have it. Yep.
I just had a client just bought, this is Elements, what, 12?
Yes.
They just bought 11 about 3 weeks ago.
Call customer service.
Okay.
Whenever we have typically a 30-day grandfather policy that if we announce something and you bought it within 30 days, if we announce it, you can usually call customer service to get the new version. Okay, so as we can see here, the regular Photoshop is ideal for photographers, print designers, web designers, interactive designers, video professionals, but Elements is ideal for family member keepers and family memory keepers and photo enthusiasts. Now there's a product that fits in the middle between these two, which we've talked about many times at the meetings, and that is Lightroom. Lightroom is the more of a management tool for your photographs with some editing capabilities, but nowhere near the editing capabilities of either Elements or full Photoshop. So that's why I said it fits right in the middle. And Elements has organizational capabilities as well. So you could just use the Photoshop Elements organizer instead of, say, Lightroom or iPhoto. It's up to you. If you're a Lightroom user and you want to use Elements as your editor, you absolutely can do that workflow as well. If you're an iPhoto user and you want to use Elements as your editor, you can do that workflow as well. So Elements kind of works with everything that you would want to work with just about. As far as organization, you can either use the organization tools that come with it or use the ones you prefer. Okay, so let's switch over and let's go over to the organizer. So the organizer, well, let me explain what it is first, and then I'll explain the main new feature here. Is the organizer is basically what it's the organizer. It's the way of grouping all of your images and videos together. Now, when it first came out, it was primarily for images, but in the later versions, it can bring in your videos as well. So when you plug that card in from your camera, or you plug your camera in, and you want to import, you can import them right into the Elements organizer. From that point, you can start creating albums. You can start creating folders that you're bringing the actual images into, if you're going to keep them on the hard drive, of course. It will start to identify things like people. It will start to identify things like places. In other words, where the photos were taken. So based on the internet connection here, a map will come up with little pinpoints of where the photos were actually taken. And that's if the photos have the geo information in the photo itself. And events, basically, these are the groupings of the photos that happened all at the same time or within a certain time frame of each other. And you can do that by the years, months, days, so forth and so on. So that is how the organizer traditionally works. Now I'm going to pretty much stay in this one album, but I do want to point out one of the big new things in the organizer in 12 is something called mobile albums. Mobile albums are tied in with Adobe's consumer online photo storage service, which is called Revel, Adobe Revel. Now Revel has been out for 2 years, 3 maybe. It originally came out under the name Carousel. It was quickly changed over to Adobe Revel. It was originally a subscription-only service, meaning if you wanted to use Revel and store your photos, it was like $6 a month, period. That has also changed. It is now free, unless you do more than 50 photos a month. If you're doing more than 50 photos a month, then it goes up to $6 for unlimited. So you can use it for unlimited for the first 30 days, which here's the trick, here's the catch. Don't tell anybody, don't tell the boss. Since you have 30 days unlimited for the trial, upload everything. Get it all up there. Then, once your 30 days is up, if you don't switch it to paid, then it will just be, you keep it for free, but then it only limits you to uploading 50 a month. So you would still have all 5,000 that you uploaded during the 30-day trial. As long as you're not uploading more than 50 new ones each month, you're good to go. So you could keep it free forever. It is one of the only photo services that I know of that even when you pay for it at $6 a month or $5.99, $4.99, whatever it is, that it is unlimited. Most, like you get so many gigs or you get so many photos, like with iCloud, it's 1,000 photos at a time. With most of the other services, it's so many gigs. Revel is unlimited for that price. If you want to upload 10,000 photos a month, you can upload 10,000 photos a month.
Is this to the cloud?
To the cloud.
Do they ever take it away from you? Like, if it's free, they don't take it away from you?
Correct.
So if it's
Well,
for
the ones
period of time or something.
Well, I mean, I imagine if you didn't use it for 10 years, they would eventually say, hey, if we can't get in touch with you, we're not going to keep it forever. But as long as you're actively using it, shouldn't be a problem.
Once you switch to pay, stay in pay.
You can switch it off, but then it's going to limit you back to 50 uploads a month. So you can go back and forth if you want.
If it's free, what's it in Adobe?
Hopefully you're using it with our other services and products. What's the catch for anything that's free?
There's nothing.
All right, so there's always something, whether it's advertisement or stats or whatever. So that's the big thing. So in the mobile organizer, I've got 3 mobile catalogs. I'm going to go to Terry's Carousel, which was my original one when I first set it up. And I've got one called Peppy, which is Photoshop Elements, Premiere Elements. So I can drag in as many photos as I want into that album. I've only put in 4 there so far. And the beauty of it is there is a iOS app. I believe they finally did come out with the Android app as well. There's also a Mac app, and the apps are free. So you can download it on your iOS device, download it on your Mac from the Mac App Store, and if the Android one is available now, download it from the Android store as well. Now, once you have the mobile app installed, that means that any of your photos that you put in your mobile albums are automatically on all your devices and computers, or accessible at least. So for example, if I go back into my phone, and I go to my Adobe folder, and I launch Revel. I launch Revel. Hello.
Is that Revel with a V as in Victor?
R-E-V-E-L. V as in Victor.
Is Revel on regular Photoshop or only on Elements?
It is only on Elements. It's more of a consumer service.
Is it available on 11?
It is not built into 11, no. Oh, I see it's not going to let me mirror the look and feel. It only wants to mirror the photo. Well, anyway, these photos are being shown from my iPhone, and they're in Revel. So if I go make a change, that photo will instantly be synced up from wherever I make the change and down to everything else. So for example, let's go to this particular photo, and let's get out of this, and let's move this. Actually, let's size it, move it down a little bit, and I'm just going to stick it over here for now. So let's go here, and what I want to do is edit this photo. So to edit it, I'm just going to go from the organizer and click on Editor while that photo is selected. That will launch it into Photoshop Elements, and there it is. Once I'm in Photoshop Elements, I can go into the quick mode, which is for quick changes, quick things you want to do, like, here, let's go back, like a smart fix, which just overall adjusts the exposure, the temperature, things like that. The exposure, if the photo's a little too dark, I want to make it lighter, I can do that. Levels, color, balance, the same things. So just quick adjustments. Now, if I go into Guided will bring up all the things that I may not know how to do, but I want to do them, and it will let me go in and do those effects. And if I go into Expert, of course, that says, hey, you're in Photoshop, do whatever it is you want to do. So I have all the tools, the layers, so forth and so on. So if I go to Effects, I can do Effects. If I go to borders or backgrounds or whatever, I can add those in. So I can do anything I want in the Expert mode. So let's go back to Guided. And sorry, I need to grab a note because I forgot what I wanted to do to this photo.
Can that transfer into regular Photoshop?
Yes. The question was, can it transfer into regular Photoshop back and forth? Yeah, you can edit a photo in either one and open it in either one. Keeping in mind, though, if you edit it in regular Photoshop and you add a bunch of things in the layers that Photoshop Elements doesn't support, you wouldn't be able to edit those things in Elements. It would still see them, though.
Safe to assume that you can then save it as the edited version and the original version?
Sure. Her question was, safe to assume you can save it as the edited version and the original version, and the answer is yes. Okay, here's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Sorry about that. Let's go back. And I want to get to Quick, and I want to go to Effects. So, the effects are Nice because now they actually show you, instead of sample photos on the right-hand side, they actually show you what they would look like on the photo you've selected. So if I wanted to create this old antique look, I can click on it. Want to create this old black and white sketch look, I can. Want to create this highly oversaturated look, I can. If I want to go back to this one, or this one, or this one, I can. So whatever look I like, I can go ahead and do that. And if I want to do more, I can. So in other words, these looks are just looks. You can pick and choose them at any given time. Actually, this is the one I like best. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now I want to do something that's not guided. I want to lighten up her face a little bit more. That's not one of the guided things. It's not one of the, it's basically, I know what I'm doing. It's an expert thing. So I'm going to go ahead and click on expert. While I've got that particular one in place, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on the photo. And what I want to do is go in and notice what it did. It added that quick effect as a layer. So I can turn that layer on and off at any given time. Now, there are various ways of lightening things. I can go in and use the dodge and burn tools. I can use, but since I want to lighten a specific area, I can do that. I can also use masking. So what I want to do here is I want to go ahead and see if this works. I haven't tried this yet. Yep, it worked. Okay, so what I did was I went and did the keyboard shortcut for creating a merged layer. And what that will do, and that's the, actually that's not in there. It is a, I don't know where the actual layer command to do it is, but it's basically Command Option Shift E. And it's merged to merge all the layers into a new one. So anyway, I knew that from Photoshop. It worked here perfectly in Elements. And now that I have that new layer, I'm going to set the mode of it to luminosity, again, because I know how to do that. And now I can go in and just brighten up her face a little bit more, and maybe the hair area a little bit more, using the luminosity controls. And if it's too much, not enough, whatever, I can dial down the opacity of that layer so that I'm not doing as much, or I want to do a little bit more. So again, that was a very specific thing that I wanted to do that wasn't guided. No, there was not going to be a guided activity to walk me through that very specific thing I wanted to do. But now that it's done, I'm going to go ahead and save it. And we'll go ahead and save it. I can save it as a Photoshop file. Of course, with all the layers, I can save it as any other format I may need, such as a JPEG. But I'm going to go ahead and save it with the layers as a Photoshop file, and then close it. Okay? And that photo shows the edited version here. And if we switch back over,
You still have the original on iPhoto?
if I had brought this over from iPhoto, I'd still have the original, but I didn't bring this over from iPhoto. I brought it from the organizer.
Can you bring all your pictures from iPhoto into a group?
Can you bring in all your pictures from iPhoto as a group? Well, yes and no. It depends on how much organization you've done. If they're in albums in iPhoto, which we wouldn't see. So it really depends on when you say as a group, what you expect.
Yeah, and so if you've done faces and locations and all the other stuff.
Right, that you'd be doing over again.
And you'd have double amount of space taken up, right?
Well, unless you got rid of the ones from iPhoto. Okay, and here is the edited version already on my phone. I didn't have to tell it to do anything. I didn't have to say upload, download, whatever. It just appeared on the phone because I did that particular edit from a mobile album, which was already in the cloud. So I edited that photo locally and just saved it. From that point, just saving it, still on my computer, got synced up to the Rebel cloud, appeared on my phone automatically, ready to go. And so it will be on my other computer running Rebel. It would be on my iPad running Rebel. It would be everywhere I'm using Rebel. Just by making, and whatever changes I make, instantly sync. Now Rebel itself can do edits. So if I do edits here, those would sync back down to the computer and over to the iPad and over to my other computer. So the photo is constantly in sync, no matter where you make the edits. And that's the beauty of Revel. Yes?
You said that Revel has been an Adobe product for over 2 years.
Yep.
And now it's available in Elements 12.
Yep.
Well, that means that you can't access it from anything except Elements 12?
No. That just means it's now a feature of Elements 12 in addition to all the other things it was already in.
So how
It was already in
do I
Lightroom.
access
It's in Lightroom. It's a published service in Lightroom already. You can upload manually via the Revel app. So by the way, I just launched on the iPad and it's there too. So just launch Revel on the iPad, same photo in all the places. So his question was basically, if Revel's been out for a couple of years now and it's not in Photoshop, and it just got to Elements 12, how were we accessing it before? Well, it's been a published service, which means that's one of the ways you can publish out photos from Lightroom. It's been a published service in Lightroom since version 4. So it's version 4, version 5 of Lightroom. And before that, if you wanted to put photos into Revel, you would just use the desktop app to do it, or the phone app to do it, or the iPad app to do it. So it's slowly making its way as a built-in feature into the other products where it makes sense.
And did it work this way also if you did the
It worked that way from day one. Okay, so that's the... Sure. So her question was, is there a way to share it? So let's get out of this. Now let's go back. Actually, let's quit out of this. And let's go back to... Well, since I'm back in the organizer now with that edited photo, there's a share button right here in the organizer, and there's also a way to share it directly from Photoshop. So if I share it here, these are all the ways I can share it, which, by the way, thanks for introducing another new feature. Another new feature is the share via private web album. We had all these other ways before, but now you can take one or more photos and create a Revel shared private album that you can basically give out that link to, that people can go and view the photos or view or download if you allow them to download. So, you know, you're at a party, you take a bunch of pictures, you want to share them with everyone that was at the party, but you don't want the world to see them. So you can share that that private album. And this is what it looks like when you go to do it. Give it a name, tell it what library you want to do it from. So I want to do it to that one, and I want to do it to we'll do a new one, we'll call it MGD for MacGroup-Detroit. And if I say allow downloads, then whoever has that link would not only be able to see the picture in the browser, but click to download the high-res version of it.
Can they, it can be more than one picture, that can be a...
Yeah, absolutely. It would be more than one picture's view.
And have captions or titles on them?
Can they have captions or titles on them, meaning where?
In this web album that you have.
Metadata?
It would definitely be in the metadata, but you mean will it appear under each picture?
Yes.
Don't know, I haven't tried it.
What about comparing the original to the one you changed?
Good question. So what about comparing the original to the one I changed? Here, let's do another one here. Editor. Let's go into guide it. And let's say that I want to do I want to do a picture stack. So when I do the picture stack, it shows me examples of how many pictures I want to do. Select the number of pictures. Oh, I need to do more pictures than that. So I won't be doing a picture stack. Never mind. Cancel that. That's not the one I want. Okay, we'll do puzzle. Puzzle effect. So I do a puzzle effect, and I want to do medium-sized puzzle. Divides the puzzle up. I want to select one or more puzzle pieces, which I can do that. And then I want to extract those pieces. And then I want to be able to, oops, wrong thing. I want to be able to move them around. And I want to go ahead and rotate this. Okay, so now that I've done that, anytime you've done anything in Elements, there's the after only view, which is there by default. You can always say, show me before and after. at any time. Or show me before only, which I'm not sure why you'd want to do that because it would never change. Working on it, nothing would change. Work on it, nothing would change because you're always looking at the before. But it's either usually after only or before and after, either horizontal or vertical. So that answers your question. Yes, it can be done. It also allowed me to show the puzzle effect.
Are you able to charge somebody for it, like have me where you sell it?
Does it create his question is really, does it create an e-commerce or a way to sell your work or photos? No. This is, again, consumer, not selling, not professional, not marketing. This is a consumer product, so there's no e-commerce or way to sell your photos directly from it. Now, once you make the photos and put them up on a site like SmugMug, you can then charge from there.
You use Muse and all that, or is that's the other package?
You use Muse and all that to do what?
With Elements?
Well, Elements is a photo editor, so you can edit the photos and put them on a Muse site, sure.
On the subject of sharing, if you have this like in your editing capacity and you share, do you control the rights of those you share with to do any editing, or do they all reside with you? If I want to share with a certain person, can I allow that person to edit my photos?
It would be more, can you stop them? Which the answer is no. So if you share a photo with me and I open it up in Photoshop, I can do whatever I want to do with it.
What if you don't?
Legally, I may not be able to, but technically, I can do whatever I want once I have the photo on my computer.
What if you don't check that download, allow them to download?
If you don't allow the download, then they can't download the high resolution, but they can certainly snap a screenshot of the web version and do whatever they want to do with it. So I get, every time I show a photo anything program, I always get these kinds of questions about restricting rights and restricting downloads and stopping people from doing this and stopping people from doing that. Don't post it. Don't share it. Don't give it to anyone if you want to stop any of those things, because once it leaves your computer, it's fair game for anyone to do anything they want to do with it. Now, you can dispute it legally. You can say, hey, I own the copyright to that photo that you're using on your brochure. I'm going to have my lawyer call you. But you can't technically stop them from doing it. You can go after them after the fact. But there's nothing in any of these software programs that's ever going to prevent someone who really wants to take your photo other than you not posting it.
Can you embed something in there like a watermark? Yours? I don't know what they call it.
A watermark?
Yeah.
Yeah. Embed it meaning visibly on the photo or in the metadata? Sure, you can do it. All my photos have my copyright information in the metadata. And most of my photos that I post online have a visible watermark. I can take that watermark off in Photoshop in 2 seconds.
Once it's on there, and you send it out.
And I can take someone's watermark off in 2 seconds.
Because it's a layer, right?
Because it's an image with pixels, and I can edit it and reclone it and take the pixels away. I can crop it off.
If you put it out.
Right, if you put it out there, you're saying, I'm taking a chance that someone will use this photo. Get it out of your head, there's a way to stop it. Take it away from your brain, because there isn't. So you can ask me the same question a million different ways. The answer's the same.
They want to steal it?
Right. How many locks do you want to put on your door? I put 20 locks on the door, now they came through the window.
Big dog.
Right. So so that's my whole thing about copyright or not copyright, but protection. Copyright, different story. And what people tend to do as professionals when they copyright their photos, they literally do it with the Library of Congress. Then they're saying, I know someone can still steal it if I put it online, but if I ever catch it being used commercially, then I can possibly get paid by going after that commercial venture or company that used it. But I can never stop them. That's it. Okay, so we're not going to ask any more of those, right? Today. Next time. And the answer will be the same. All right, moving on. So we've done the, let's actually skip ahead here. We've done the photo effects. We've done photo play. Let's see here if there's anything else.
Can you look at that bill, and that's in Elements 11?
No, I don't believe the puzzle one was in Elements 11. We'll get to video on shortly. Okay, and that's all I want to do there. Okay, next. Here's another popular request. This has been a long time coming. And that's not the right one. Let's go up here. That's the right one. Okay, we have quick guided expert. Let's go to expert. And in expert, we have a red eye tool. The red eye tool has been there for years, and it's been off limits to anything that wasn't people. It just wouldn't work on animals. And now, when you click the red eye tool, there is a pet eye checkbox. Yay, see, yay, because it happens with pets all the time. So if I uncheck the pet eye, then it's for people, obviously. If I check pet eye, then I can go in and say, take out the yellow, and I could expand the pupil radius. Here, let's undo. Sometimes it will also allow me to drag, but I don't know if that works on pets. Nah, it doesn't work as good. It's better for me to do it manually. So you can get those weird pet eyes that you've been taking photos of. You're just really happy about this, aren't you? Right. Okay, well now you can fix the pet eye a lot better than you could before. Okay. So that's, again, standard red eye tool, but now with pet eye removal. Just click on the yellow part or the red part or whatever. Just click. Okay. Glad that made someone really, really happy. Next one.
Why didn't that work with the human eye thing? I mean, eyeballs.
Different color pigments in the retina.
I don't know the technical reasons for why it works or doesn't work. It just does. Or doesn't. It's puzzle effect in Photoshop. It is not.
Can you make puzzles those kind where you can move them around?
You can do anything manually in Photoshop.
No, I mean, I've seen puzzles that are on the computer and they have pieces and you kind of drag the pieces.
Okay, her question was, can you actually make a real puzzle from this? This is not designed to make a real puzzle. It's a layer that looks like a puzzle, cut pieces out. I guess you could technically cut all the pieces out and then move them around if you want to do all that labor, but it's not going to do it for you. Okay, our next one is, this time we're going to do another guided one where it walks us through it. And the guided effect I want is burst effect. Burst effect, where are you? That is the one I want, yes. Okay, so first thing it wants me to do is crop to basically center the subject into the photo. So I get the crop tool just by clicking crop. So this is what I mean by guided. The crop tool is there in the expert mode. And so everything the guided things can do, you can go in export and do them step by step manually if you knew the steps. But this is designed for people that don't know the steps and they want to be walked through it. So rather than having it send you over to a tool panel and you go find the crop tool, you just put it there as a button, click it, and it selects it for you. So now that I've got the crop tool, I'm basically going to recompose this shot to where he's more in the center of the shot as opposed to being off to the right or left. Now that I've done that, we'll click OK or click Go Ahead. And then the next step is click the zoom burst effect to go ahead and apply it. Now, of course, that applied it to the entire photo, which doesn't look right or doesn't look good. What I want to do now is bring him back into focus. So I just simply scroll down. Add a focus area, no problem. Click the focus area and drag. And now that area of the photo is in focus. All the way down to the shoes. Let's go ahead and get that arm. And away we go.
So it'll focus the stuff that you roll right, okay.
Right, so you're dragging through it. And I would imagine behind the scenes, what that's really doing is a graduated filter. Because I'm dragging it to graduate the focus. I'm guessing that's what it's doing. But it's not exposing me to that to have to think about it. It's just saying, hey, click and drag the things you want to be in focus.
Is there a difference in like the size or radius when you come around it? I don't know how to describe it.
Well, there probably is a brush size behind the scenes. And I'm having, like, it didn't get his whole body, so I had to do it a couple times. So what?
So is the technique apply the special effect and then extract the exception?
Yes. So the special effect applied to the whole thing, and I'm now saying except on these areas. If that, right. Now, if I'm happy with it as is, I don't have to finish the guided effect. At any time, I can say done. But the last thing it's suggesting, again, suggesting, up to me to decide if I like it or not, is to apply a vignette. So I'll try it. It applied a nice vignette around the photo. But I didn't have to do that step if I didn't want to. So now when I say done, I'm done. Now she asked about sharing earlier. I talked about it because I had already closed the photo. I was back in the organizer. If I'm happy with this photo, excited, and want to share it right here while I'm in Photoshop, or Elements, there's the share button here as well. So I can click share and get the same kinds of things. I can say share it to a private album, share it to Flickr, share it to Twitter, Facebook, SmugMug, whatever. Right from Photoshop Elements.
Do you have any control over the vignette, the amount of vignette?
Guided is guided. You want expert, go do it yourself. So if you didn't like the vignette, you want to do your own, then don't do that last step and guide it. Go in expert and make your own.
Can you step back in history a couple steps?
I can go all the way back. Multiple undos.
Finish where you were and then click on expert. Are all your layers there? Give you that flexibility then.
Let's see. Vignette. If I go to expert, that layer's there. So if I turn it off, that's what was done to it. So it created one layer for everything that it did.
What if you start off with a blurred picture? Are you able to straighten that out, make it clear?
Not in 2013, unless it was camera shake. And even then, it would require the full version of Photoshop, not Elements.
I wish.
Yeah. It's like transporters. We know that it's coming someday, but not yet.
On the sharing, there's no way to go directly to an email to send the photo. You have to use one of their designated...
Well, let's see. I know that was, I think there were more options in the organizer, but let's go look. In the organizer, there's email attachments. You can do it from there. So, and once you save the photo and go back to the organizer, you can do all the other sharing options that weren't in the Photoshop share menu. Okay, I'm going to close that. Don't need to save it. And let's see this next one. We already did the puzzle thing. Now this one is kind of it's guided, but it's going to require you to decide what the photo needs. And that what I mean by that is when I go into editor with this photo, this is an old, tattered, colors off, all kinds of things wrong with this photo. So it requires photo restoration. Now, if I'm in the guided activities, and there is a restore old photo. There is a restore old photo guided activity. But this is kind of one of those where Photoshop doesn't know what's wrong with it. It doesn't know it doesn't know what a tear is, it doesn't know what a crease is, it doesn't know what spots are in the photo, because it just sees pixels. So when I do this guided activity, restore old photo, it's going to walk me through as best it can what to do, but I'm going to have to make those judgments myself. So for example, the first thing it's saying is use the crop tool to minimize your work. Crop off things that aren't needed if possible, because you may want the whole photo. But if it's saying, hey, if you don't really need that upper left corner and that upper right corner, why have them and have to repair them? And I agree. So crop tool, let me recompose the photo. Oops, hang on, let me do that again. And I may want a little bit more of it that way, and that's it. So now I've minimized the amount of work I have to do just by cropping it. I didn't need as much of the photo. If you need it all, don't crop it. Next, it's saying I have a choice. It says use the following tools to repair, because it doesn't know what it needs. So it's saying, hey, I've got a spot healing tool for you. I've got a healing brush for you. I've got a clone stamp for you and a blur tool. Have at it, because I have no idea how to tell you what to do. So I like the spot healing tool. I wish it had a patch tool, but it doesn't. I like the spot healing tool, so that's the one I'll do the most. And basically what I can do with that tool is go after spots in the photo. I'm just painting with this tool, and it's using the surrounding pixels to fill it in. Get rid of scratches. Well, that's further down in the guided activity. And of course, this is going to take more time. I'm not going to do the detailed amount of work I would normally do if this were a real photo that I wanted to do, but just do some quick things here.
And you're working on a tablet, not a mouse.
Absolutely. By the way, you want to cut down the amount of frustration with anything in Photoshop, I highly recommend a tablet. All right.
Are you letting up frequently on the mouse?
I'm letting up every time you see a black dot, because that means I'm coming back down.
Is that a sepia tone or is it faded color?
Fade it. Okay. And since I'm going to keep all this down here, let's do that, that. All right, zoom in a little bit more. And that's when you start to see how much more work you still have to do. And again, I'm not taking my time necessarily on this, but you get the idea.
It's a lot easier than shooting a copy nag and then taking a graphite pencil and filling things in.
What's this copy neg you speak of?
Old school.
Yeah, before my time.
I saw you walk the house and made your photo.
Yep, I was like, wow, I wonder how they do all this. All right, getting down to the best parts here. Yes, it does. And unfortunately, we will not be doing that much work on it today. Well, they did give me a blur tool as an option as well. Okay. I've gotten rid of most of what offended me about this photo, except for right here, right there.
So do you touch what color you want to fill in first?
If I were using the second one, but the spot healing just uses the surrounding pixels. The second one makes you sample first. So with this one, with the healing brush, it's telling me to alt click or option click where I want to sample from. So if I want to sample from up here, I would. And now that's what it's using to heal with. Right, that's why I don't use it for reasons like that just happened there. Because then I'd have to go resample again.
I have option click
You hold down the option key and tap. Okay.
It's a miracle, she can walk.
She was walking before this. Just walking through a lot of garbage. All right. Again, I would spend more time on it, but here's the idea. Go in, zoom in, really spend some time getting rid of all the little specks and all the little things.
You have the magnify one, right?
Yep. Okay. Next. And again, you'd spend more time. Next. Come down, there's a dust remover. So dust remover will get rid of all the little fine specks that I'm not going to go in and clean up manually. Now, anytime you're removing dust, it's pros and cons. You're removing dust, but you're also blurring the photo. So you have to use it sparingly. So when I say dust remover, it shows me a preview. That's before, that's after on that setting. So that's too much for me. So I'm going to take it down to maybe a radius of 2. It's not as bad. That's like a happy medium. And you can see it on the full photo here. So, before, after. Let's click OK. All right, so now dust remover has been applied. And again, if I'm happy, done. If I'm not, keep going. So I could try auto levels, see if I like that. Yeah, I like that. Auto contrast. Nah, I don't like that. Undo. Auto color correction. Yeah, undo. Convert to black and white. There we go. And I like the black and white version. Sharpen it. Done. Before. Wrong way. And after. I'd spend more time on it and even get a better job. So that's when it's a guided activity to kind of show you and suggest the things you should do, but keeping in mind that it doesn't know what the photo looks like, and therefore it's mostly up to you. Now, I can still go into expert mode, and let's see here. In expert mode, I've got the same kinds of tools. I can go in and do more if I know exactly what I want to do. But the guided activity got me this far. All right, next, let's see, we did the restore. Ooh, this is a fun one. Let's close this one. Head back to the editor, and the editor. Sometimes I look at these files and I'm like, I know I'm supposed to fix that and move the little girl over, but I'm thinking, really? You took the picture and she was 5 feet away from everybody else? That's what you shot? Really?
That's the frame to bridge.
So anyway, little girl should be with the rest of the family. I can't believe it really happened that way. But anyway, yeah, okay. Right.
Maybe she's somebody else's kid.
I think she's gonna grow up with issues, but anyway. Well, if she wasn't really there and you're going to put her there, then why would you put her over there? That's my point.
Just growing up in there.
Okay, you guys are coming up with excuses, but they aren't good. All right, so next. Yeah, I think it's more of that. All right, what I'm looking for is, actually, is it a tool or a guided activity? I can't remember.
Sorry for the professional photographer who got an assignment to take an intentionally bad photo. No, you still got paid.
Okay, it's not a guided activity, it's an expert thing. All right, so there's a new tool in Elements 12, so let's go to expert. And it actually appeared in full Photoshop CS5 first. And that is the, actually, or was it CS6? CS5 or CS6, can't remember, but it's the content aware move tool. So, content aware has been around in Photoshop for a long time. The content aware move tool came out later, and content aware move is now inside Photoshop Elements 12. Now, the idea is that, and I haven't really, I don't like this particular example of it, but I'm going to do it anyway. The idea is you use the tool to make a selection, a quick selection around the person. And since you're kind of moving them onto the same background, you don't have to be as careful because sand is sand, grass is grass. As long as you're putting them against sand and grass again, you should be okay. But if you weren't putting them against the same background, then it would be much harder. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and make a quick selection around her.
I thought you were going to move the bridge.
Would magnify that be easier to do that?
Maybe. Okay, and making my selection, working my way around. Okay, so now I got my selection. Here we go. And keep in mind, there's no extra layer. She's just on the background. Pick her up, put her where I want. Well, that's not the best part yet. Put her where I want. Kind of match the feet up a little bit and let go. And it used whatever the surrounding area was, somewhere sometimes not as good, to fill in the area around her. Now, you can also adjust the amount of healing that it does when it does it.
See grass tool?
Yes. So that's kind of what it's doing based on the slider where you put it. Yeah, right there.
What about the shadow?
What about it?
The one that you cast previously?
What about it?
Pretend it's something else.
She's a little.
If you want to move it, then grab it. She's a little small. She was that size. I didn't change her size. That is how big she is. Now, if you want, you could duplicate her onto a new layer at this point while she's still selected and scale her up if you want to, but that is the size she is. All right.
You leave the shadow like that for the forensic examiner.
Yeah.
Right.
So, content-aware move. Now, everyone's talking about the shadow. If you wanted to move the shadow with her, select it with her and move that too. Pardon?
She didn't have a shadow to begin with.
Yes,
She did.
Yes. If you selected the shadow, how would you not select your leaves or your shins that are in there?
It depends on which shadow you're talking about. You're talking about the shadow going that way, then no, you're not going to be able to select it easily. You're talking about shadows going this way, you could.
Oh, yeah.
Could you zoom in on her legs?
Could I zoom in on her legs? Sure. Yeah, the shadow. Oops.
Because he's selected.
Because I went out too far away from her legs. So select closer next time. Because it brought over what I selected. So I selected outside her legs, it brought that over. Now, let's see here. Since I'm in expert mode, I don't know if this is one of the things I've always wanted in Elements. I don't know if it has it. I don't think it does because it didn't do that keyboard shortcut. Hang on. I don't think it has it. But if I were in regular Photoshop, all I would simply do is paint around her legs using the history brush to put back in that area that was there to begin with. Elements doesn't have a history brush. So, out of luck there. Do a better selection. Next. Simple problem, but one that amateurs run into all the time, and that is a crooked horizon. Nothing says amateur other than more than the crooked horizon line. So that horizon is going up to the right. Now, luckily, these programs have had great straightening capabilities for years. But now the straightening gets even better in Elements 12, and because of using some of the content-aware technology in it. So I'm going to do it the old way first. Just grab the straighten tool. Okay, yes I will. Let me do it on this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I have this ruler that I just selected down here in the lower left corner, ruler tool next to content-aware move. And that's my straighten tool. So all I have to do is tell it what should be straight in the photo, just by dragging it in that direction. So I'm going to say, straighten this line. That's all I have to do. But here's the problem with the old way of doing it. As soon as I let go, Yes, it straightens that line, but then I'd have to lose some of my photo. I'd have to crop it down to get rid of the white space because it basically straightened it by turning the photo. And where there was no photo, I see there is no photo. But now, because of content-aware technology, and content-aware, by the way, is a technology that uses the surrounding area to fill in what it thinks should have been there. So that's how I was able to fill in the sand and the grass when I moved the girl over, using content-aware, using the area around it. Well, that also works in straightening. So when I do straighten, there is an autofill edges. And by the way, that's one of the other things you'll find about Elements. Instead of it saying content-aware fill edges, it said autofill edges because that makes more sense to a consumer. A consumer doesn't care about the technical term of it or the name of it. Doesn't care that it's content-aware fill under the hood. They just want to autofill the edges. So they check that box. Yes?
Sherry, when I do that, oftentimes you run out of memory. Is there a control to allow more memory to autofill?
I would check your preferences. So anyway, do the same thing. Drag along the horizon line that should be straight. And now when I let go, a few seconds later, it fills it in using the surrounding area of the sky and the grass and the sand and everything else.
If your photo will work.
Yeah, if it works that way. Now, if you had a border on it, it doesn't know how to do that. You had some weird stuff in the corners, it won't know how to do that. But as long as the edges can be quickly and easily replicated, it will.
So it did the same tilt, just filled from the bottom?
No, it filled in at the top, some more sky, at the bottom, some more sand,
Okay.
right-hand side, some more grass.
The little girl in the last picture, if you go outside of her, then you get content aware, but if you said you have to crop it more in order to not have the little edges around her legs.
Right.
So what,
I would have selected closer to her legs, not to have that gap between shadow and sand.
on the top of her, you'd have it away from her.
It depends,
So that
because it
where
depends.
it's
It depends on what's going to be behind her when I move her. So I was looking at the grass that was around her head when I moved her. We can go back to that photo if you want. Little girl, where are you? There you are. Editor. And zoom in. So, and I keep forgetting the zoom works differently here. So when I look at it, it's like, okay, I'm going to grab her hair and head and move it over here down a little bit. Great, it's going to be against hair and so forth and so on. But when I moved her legs, since I selected out a little bit and then moved her down, it moved her into a shadow area where the upper part of her legs didn't have a shadow. So it took the white sand down into the shadow area because I didn't select close enough to her legs. So now if I were to do it again, because you're going to make me, I would go in, not as careful around here, but I can be.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, sure, I could use quick select.
you have to leave a little space in order to get the background the same.
Leaving a little space is a little bit better, but then I would just go in, closer to her feet, closer to her legs.
There's a tiny gap between the feet that has sunlight on it, so.
And again, that's going to be up to you to decide if you want that. And content aware move. And I moved her down. So depending on where I put her, I'm either going to have grass in the water if I don't put her down far enough, or I'm going to have sand by her legs if I don't do the legs properly. So it's up to you. And then we can fix what it healed by dragging the slider around. That's probably the best one. See, do I like any of these better? Nah. It's probably the better one.
Wouldn't you do a content aware fill at that point?
I could. So all of the things you're asking me, do it. All the suggestions you're giving me, do them. If you think it should be done a certain way, do it that way.
How would you grab the shadow with the legs?
Paint it in, clone it in. Okay, next. I need that one. Oops, let's head over to the fruit. This one is kind of cool. I like it because it's designed for a consumer to think about how the photo looks as opposed to the technology behind it. And it's a expert mode kind of thing. So let's go to expert. We're in it already, and it is wait a minute. Oh, sorry. From the enhance menu, and we're going to do auto smart tone. So now in auto smart tone, here's what I love about it. It tells me what to do. Move the controller around to fine tune the image correction. The four corners indicate the correction you would get by dragging in that direction. So it's like a joystick, and you're dragging the joystick towards the photo in the corner that will make the photo in the center look the way you want it to look. So if I pull it down to the right, it's going to be brighter based on the photo that's down to the right. If I pull it up to the left, it's going to be darker based on the photo that's in the upper left corner. So I'm dialing down my effect based on the four photos in the four corners for what I want. And I can pick anything in between. So if I kind of like, and again, you're concentrating on your photo in the middle because that's the real photo. But you're dragging the interface around based on the way you want that photo to look. So I just kind of think that's cool. Actually, on your screen, maybe right around there. Then when you're done, just click OK. And that's your corrected photo. All right, next one.
And you're correcting the highlights on the hand and so forth?
If you wanted to, yes. All right, next. We talked about sharing already, so I'm going to skip that part. Let's go back to the editor for a moment. And let's grab that one. Now, we talked about sharing and all the options we have there. The other one is create. And create is all the creative things you'd want to do. A photo print, a photo book, greeting card, calendars, collages, so forth and so on. So if I wanted a greeting card, I could go through and pick from the ones that are here. And it gives me the sizes too. If I want to print them locally, I can. I'm going to print them on my own printer. Or I don't have a printer or don't want to be bothered with it, I can send it up to Shutterfly to have it printed.
You say send to who?
Shutterfly. Shutterfly.com.
Say that again?
Shutterfly.com. It's a printing site. All right, so I'm going to go to Celebration and click OK. And it's building my card based on the photo I selected. So if I had selected 2 photos, I could, or I could add text here instead. But actually, it would be better for 2 photos. And away I go. Since that card is now generated for me on my computer, I can save it and then print it on my own printer. So the creation tools are designed to work either locally for your own printing or online if you want to have something printed online. And next, we did that. Let's go through. Did we do this? Yep, we talked about that already. Okay. Video. So luckily I don't have to leave the organizer because the organizer also has my videos in it because it can organize both videos and photos. So I'm going to select this first video and I'm going to click on the editor, but I'm going to pop up the menu on the editor instead of just clicking on it to tell it what to edit it in. So I want to edit it in the video editor, which in this case would be Premiere Elements.
And that can be an iPhone video?
Video's video. Doesn't care what camera you use to shoot it with. It is what was it, 127 for both? Okay. Okay, so now I'm in a video editor. And it's a very simple interface. I can scrub through my video, I can play my video. Skydivers, by the way, plug in my sound. Hang on here. So let's play this. That was worth it. Okay, so it's a bunch of wind noise because they're skydiving. But we have our video clip here, and it's just a really simple drag and drop interface. If I had other videos that I want to just simply drag onto the timeline, no matter if I grab them from the organizer or grab them from my Finder or wherever else, I could just drag them right in. Now let's do a couple of things really quick here. First one is, did that. Oh, first one is, for many of you, since you're going to be new to Premiere Elements, one of the guided activities is getting started with Premiere Elements. So they built how to use the program as one of the guided activities in the program. So if I play this one, it literally just walks me through the interface. This guided edit will walk you through editing the video clip, show you an overview of Premiere Elements. Next. So now it's showing me things about the interface and explaining them. Next. Shows me about the clip marker. Next. Shows me about zooming in the timeline. Next. Shows me how to trim a clip just by dragging in the edges. Next. Shows me how to split a clip by moving the marker and then clicking the little scissors, which comes up right on the marker. Shows me how to do a transition between clips. And shows me where to get the special effects and transitions from. And that's it. So it walked me through and gave me a quick, for most people that are looking for the most common things, where they are in the program. And those are the most common things. People want to drop clips in. They want to cut them or edit them or trim them down. They want to put transitions between them. They want to apply effects. That's pretty much it. Only other thing would be titling. All right, so I'm going to click OK, and that was it. Sound coming. So let's do, there's still a manual. I mean, that was just a quick thing. If you want to learn more, you can learn more. All right, so I'm going to bring in one more clip. We're going to do everything we want to between these two. So I'm going to go back to the organizer, and I'm going to bring in this clip of this kid sliding down a sand dune. Let's add that as well. And it will just simply drop that in right next to it. And that particular clip, let's jump over to it, looks like this. Now, what I want to do is apply a thought bubble to the kid as he's going down the hill. Thought bubble. A little round bubble. And put words in it. Right. Wee, whatever. But here's the thing. If I can easily place a graphic on here, a Photoshop graphic, whatever. But where's that graphic going to be? In one spot, wherever I place it. The kid's just going to go and move away from it. And the bubble's just going to be sitting there. Now, we have in After Effects motion tracking. Very sophisticated tool, very sophisticated feature that is for pros. But what if you're not a pro? You're using Elements. Should you not be able to do motion tracking? I agree. Well, until a certain point, everyone else agreed as well. So we're going to go in and we're going to do a little motion tracking here. So let's do, did I close it? Oh, that one. Let's go in and let's grab it from, I just don't remember where these things are. One more. There it is. There we go. And it is under Tools. In the Tools, it is called Motion Tracking. So the first thing it says is select the object. In other words, tell Elements what's moving. And that's easy enough. This is what's moving. Now that Elements knows what's moving, click Track Object. And it will process it. It'll look through that clip and find where that thing's been moving the whole time. Now, attach a graphic or text from the action bar below to that moving object. And it's lit up the graphics here. And I can go in and I can go grab my speech bubble and drag it right onto the clip. Downloaded it, add my text. Whee. Click OK. And move it where I want it to be. So put the thought bubble right by his head. Now you got cats and you got thought bubbles. You're going to have way too much fun with this. Okay, and done. And play. Not bad for under $100 program. Motion tracking. Unbelievable. Okay, next. Let's go back to this clip for a second, and let's go to the same, let's see. Question was, is there an Elements upgrade? I don't think so. I think what they used to do was a rebate on the previous version, but I haven't seen that in a while.
Is there a split screen?
Is there a split screen?
Like if you did another video.
Not that I'm aware of, not in Elements anyway. Okay, adjustments. Auto Smart Tone. This will look very familiar from what you just saw in Photoshop Elements. So when I click Apply, it will bring up, Custom, sorry. It'll bring up the same kind of interface where I can drag it in the direction of the photo to give me the effect I'm looking for. So here, let me cancel it. So I think I did it first before I told it to customize it. Yes. And undo it. There we go. And Tools, Adjustments, Auto Smart Tone, Custom. There we go. And so now I'm dragging around to get a similar look. So darker, darker yet, a little bit lighter, much lighter, and again, wherever I want in between. Click Done, and it applies that to the video. Now keep in mind my marker was in a different spot than the beginning. All right, next. Hollywood style effects.
So it would apply that effect to just
No, it did it to the whole clip. Right, whatever clip you had selected. So when you click on a clip, that clip is selected, for whatever you do is doing it to the entire clip. Let me point out another thing here. So it's kind of giving me a little bit of help visually on the timeline. So for example, if I wanted to split that clip, there's a pair of scissors right there. If I click the scissors, I'm splitting the clip in that spot. The other one is let me zoom out. The other one is the controls for your adjustment. So it's giving me these little adjustment sliders on the clip. If I click that, I could have gotten to that adjustment much faster. And let me undo the split for a moment here. Undo the split. Then on the adjustment, while that clip's selected, I could turn the volume down for that particular clip. No problem. So now that I've done that, we barely hear it. Okay, so while we're at it, let's go into effects. And there are video effects or film looks. The film looks are designed to be more Hollywood-like. So if I do film looks, I can do old film and drag that right onto the clip. And it will give me that old film look. So it's doing, there we go. Complete with the lines going through it and the flashing. So you too can make your old style movie. Cross process, let's try that one. And that's the cross process effect. So you'll have fun playing with those, I'm sure. Let's go on. Adding music. Now you might not have noticed, there are different tracks. So this is where I would drag text if I wanted a text track or titling. The video track, recorded narration. So if I'm narrating or want to add narration after the fact of the movie, that it would go here. And then dragging regular audio here. So if I go to my audio pop-up, there are music scores that you can get or sound effects. And the music scores are by category. So if I go to here and pop up, I can do atmospheric, and I can play them. Not a great one. Not for this movie anyway. Kind of like that one for this. They're kind of floating down and doing something mysterious. All right, let's go ahead and drag that in. These are all royalty free. So what it's doing is generating the score for that particular clip. And my favorite feature of this, fit to the video. So only make it as long as the video I've edited. So this will be something I would do usually at the end, because the video, I want it to be the entire edited video when the music's done, or when the video's done. So when I say done, it basically made the audio the length of both clips, because those are the two clips on the timeline. That's why I say you usually do it last.
Does it do it by slowing it down so it'll fit? It's longer than 3 seconds.
Well, most of this is looping, so it can know where to cut it. Okay? Put a transition in there.
You could do a split screen.
There's your transition. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and adjust the volume of that second clip as well.
Now, I can make a movie out of drawings, right?
I didn't hear the first part.
Can I make a movie out of drawings?
You can make a movie out of stills, yes. So, text and titles. You have default roles, default text, default crawls, comic book, fun, glass and flowers, grid, all kinds of different categories. So we'll just add a basic one. She doesn't do anything. Here we can do default crawl. Let's drag that one in, see what it does.
Could you move that text bar around?
He's singing.
It's part of the music track. That's how it starts. Okay, so add your text in and have it be whatever you want it to be.
Can you make it slow motion or fast motion, fast forward?
Fast forward the video or the title?
Video.
Let's see. First of all, I can fade it in, which is what I was looking for earlier. Fade it out. Can I control the speed, which is really what we're talking about? I don't know.
When you change the speed, will it change the speed of the music? Well,
No, because it would be done on the clip. You'd have to redo the music.
audio's in a different track.
Right, correct.
Can you uplink the audio and video for data?
The question was, can you unlink the audio and video? You can't unlink it, but you can just simply turn it down or off. Yes, you can add scrolling credits at the end. Yeah, I don't see a way to do timing on the clip itself. Not to say it's not there, I just don't see it. I don't use this program enough. I'm using Premiere Pro.
Can you save to all popular formats?
Can you save to all popular formats? You mean, can you export it out to popular formats? And the answer is going to be yes, publish and share. You can burn it onto a disk. There's also, that's not what I'm looking for though. There should be a export feature. Render. Let's see what save as gives me. Save as, just saving the project. Here we go. So QuickTime export, MPEG export, Flash export, image or audio export.
Can you import something that's in Flash and turn it into MPEG?
I don't know if it imports Flash video, probably not. Yeah, it seems like you can pretty much get to anything you want codec-wise, whatever you have in there. So, yes, the answer to your question to export to popular formats, they seem to all be there. Any other questions on Premiere Elements? Again, not my strong suit, as I warned you earlier.
What does it do about menus?
What does it do about menus for what?
For your template starter, just like your DVD at home.
You mean if I'm making a DVD?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I guess that, to me, that's the point.
To me, that is no longer the point. I haven't made a disc in years. So that's why I have to think about it. Menus are auto-generated, it looks like.
Can you buy it separately?
Can you buy it separately? Sure. Both Photoshop and Premiere Elements are sold separately or in a bundle. But like I said, if you're going to spend $90 and it's a few dollars more to get them both,
How does this compare to Photoshop editing feature?
how does this compare to Photoshop's, full Photoshop's video editing? This can probably do a few more things because it's geared towards editing video, whereas Photoshop's really geared towards stills. Photoshop would be easier for me because I already know how to use it. So it just depends on what you're trying to achieve. Because Photoshop, the full version, can edit video directly in it. You can bring a video in, bring clips in, add music, of course, any effects you want. So yeah, that's a tough one. But if you're asking that kind of question, then chances are you already have Photoshop. And I would say unless you're hitting some wall of something you can't do, you're probably better off doing your video editing in Photoshop. But if you're running into things you'd like to be able to do that you can't, then I would look at Premiere Elements or full Premiere.
It may be a silly question because I don't know much about Lightroom, but with the organizing in here, would you also want Lightroom for something?
Well, her question was, with the organizing in here, would you also want Lightroom for something? If you're not a professional photographer, probably not. But if you are, you're probably going to lean more towards Lightroom than this organizer.
Did you say you can edit in Photoshop?
You can edit video in full Photoshop, yes, not Elements.
Can you give a couple big reasons why you prefer this over the Apple stuff like iDVD, iPhone?
Well, number one, it's my product versus a competitor's product. There is no number two. Any other questions?
Much more powerful.
Well, and also if you look at an iDVD, when's the last time they updated it? That kind of tells you where they're headed. All right. Pardon?
What are these DVD things?
He likes them. He burns them all the time. Thank you.
What I do?
He said, who uses these DVDs? I said, he burns them all the time.
It's okay, they ain't dead yet.
Say that again? Good question. So, Camera Raw is a part of Photoshop Elements. So if I go open in Camera Raw and go find any image in this case. Oops, I didn't mean to click twice. Sorry about that. Hang on. Hit return twice. So it is Camera Raw, but it is basic Camera Raw. Meaning there are 3 tabs instead of 12 that come in Camera Raw. So you don't have the lens corrections, you don't have a lot of the stuff that Camera Raw current version has. But you do have, it's updated alongside the regular Camera Raw. So you're getting all the camera compatibility. You're getting, again, most things that a beginner would want to do with the raw files. And again, this is all non-destructive. So you're getting compatibility, but not all the features. Lightroom has all the features. Lightroom's develop module is exactly the same as Photoshop's Camera Raw with previews and just easier to make. Any other questions? So what do you think of Elements for those of you who are not professionals?